existing or believing? What do you want? So what is the win-win situation? You believe in God's existence and you don't can lose it. So you don't have to go there. It is the different. You need to believe in the existence. Even what you lose, you believe in it. So actually Islamic school is
So let me know whenever you're ready, guys. Whenever you're ready, let me know. You start, huh? Start. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
See you again. نسأل الله أن ينفعنا بما علمنا ويعلمنا ما ينفعنا ويزيدنا علما. Inshallah ta'ala, today we'll go over the proofs of Allah's existence. So we'll start with the logical proofs. So let us start with the logical proofs. Although the issue of Allah's existence, it is axiomatic, it is innate matter, yet due to the major intellectual turbulence that is going on around, we need to go on and affirm in detail these proofs, especially when we are confronted with so many doubts around us, from even people who may be living in the same house with us. They may throw a question at you out of inquiry to get more knowledge in some cases, and sometimes to tell you that there is someone I have faced or confronted in school and he raised this issue. How should I respond to him and so on? So we need to educate each other as much as we can, and we share this knowledge as wide as possible.
We previously discussed 2 weeks ago the general principles for Allah's existence.
Right.
In which the logical now we are discussing the proofs.
Yes, we'll go into details about the proofs of Allah's existence. So the previously mentioned issues, it were the principles in which we should believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His perfection, the exalted He is. So it is general principles.
Okay.
But today we'll talk about in depth about the proofs of Allah's existence subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course we'll start with the logical proofs. So again, the issue of Allah's existence, it is innate compliant. We know it, we feel it, we sense it, and it is a matter that no sane person would question Allah's existence. But because there are people who are trying to deceive others out there and claiming that due to the scientific excavations and advancement of technology, we reach a level where we can understand how everything operates in this universe. They claim then, hence we need no God to intervene in all that. Khalas, we understood life, therefore no need for God. Yet, we'll come later on and speak about how this approach of claiming that scientism is enough to prove that we don't need God, and how contradicting it is, and how it is self-defeated argument. Okay, but again, when we speak about science, science tells you how everything operates, but can never tell us why it operates. Okay, I mean, like for instance, when somebody knows and understands how a computer in details works, he opens the motherboard, he checks every detailed matter, every chip within that motherboard, and he understands how it operates. And he knows the applications, the coding, and all that. Okay? If you know all that, does that make you come to a conclusion that this laptop came to existence on its own? No. All this very complicated, well-integrated chips and materials and applications and coding speaks out clearly that there is someone who caused this computer to come to existence, right? So when those people claim that, we understood how the sun operates, how the cell operates, how the human body operates, how the organs operates, how every existing thing operates, why it operates, why is it there, who brought it to here, how come it is serving each other in a very compliant, well integrated manner, where it makes everything on earth, prosper and live in a very convenient way. That we need to understand who brought that into existence, what does he want from us with this all, fascinating and well perfected existence. So because of that, we need to present very strong proofs to those who are questioning Allah's existence. We cannot go to a very questionable argument or an argument which we have not enough confidence in presenting it and then use it as an evidence to prove Allah's existence. Well, if that person sees that your evidence is so weak, he is going to use all his might and power to make you look like so weak in proving Allah's existence, right? And we need to be very smart in this case. We use the strongest evidences. And of course, when it comes to issue of evidences, we have multitude of types of proofs. Not individual proofs, but types of proof, where every type of proof has so many examples and individual proofs. So we need to be very much aware of this, that when it comes to arguing with these people, make sure that you are well equipped with the strong arguments. Don't go into a philosophical argument where you yourself is not aware of, not confident of knowing it very well, plus itself in its nature is not a convincing enough approach to be presented as an evidence for Allah's existence. Sometimes people will bring some scientific proofs, and that scientific proof is questioned even by the scientists themselves. So if you speak to somebody who has good knowledge in science, he will present to you maybe evidences that you don't know much about, which proves that you're wrong. So how can you convince him then? So why resort to such approach in these cases? Let me give you an example here. When the early time of Islam, after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, some of the deviated groups started to arise. And they presented ideas which really, shifted the Muslims from the right aqidah. It all started when some of these people wanted to confront the philosophers of their time and to prove to them that Allah exists. So one of them was Al-Jahl bin Safwan, a very famous deviant. He died 128 after Hijrah. This person, he went to try to debate with the philosophers of his time, a group called al-Suhaibi. So these people, they only believe in what their five senses can perceive, right? Other than that, they say, if we cannot perceive it with our senses, it does not exist. So they came to him and asked him, did you see your God? Did you hear your God? Did you smell? Did you taste? Did you touch? And he said, no. Because of that, they said to him, then your God doesn't exist. If you cannot see him, you cannot hear him, you cannot, smell him, taste him, touch him, and so on. So we went on for 40 days in a state of skepticism of his existence, of what is he worshipping. And he was told that he left Salah for 40 days because of this issue, sitting with these people. Until he came up with an answer, he said to them, which is an approach taken from the Christians, and the issue of the ruh. He asked them, do you guys see the ruh, the soul? They said, no. Can you hear the soul? They said, no. Can you smell it? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? They say, no. He said, well, our God is like that. We will not see, Allah is not seen, is not heard, is not touched, is not so and so. So look, he denied seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He denied hearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a clear and explicit declaration of denying what's in the Quran. Allah says, وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. On that day, faces will be so bright to its Lord. It is looking. So وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Allah talked to Musa, spoke to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is heard, Allah is seen. Allah shall be seen يوم القيامة subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look how such argument, when presented in that manner, led not only for that person to establish a wrong foundation for the aqidah, but his argument was used by the people of Kalam, Ahlul Kalam. It was adopted by al-Mu'tazila, by al-Asha'ira, by al-Maturidiyya. All these groups adopted such proof for Allah's existence. This is the number one must learn proof, which is the proof of, we'll get to the proof of al-A'rab or al-Jawhar wal-A'rab. Al-Jawhar wal-A'rab. Because later on, Al-Jam and his followers adopted the Greek approach of proving Allah's existence. That in order to know that this universe was caused, they went on and adopted the argument of al-Jawhar wal-A'rab, or al-Ajsam wal-A'rab, the substances and the attributes. Meaning that they said we need to prove to the philosophers that this entire universe is created. This entire universe is created. How do we do that? They took a proof from the early generations, from the Greek, some said from the Greek, some said from others, that if we break down this entire universe, it is made of substance and attributes. And if you break the substance into the smallest substance where it's not breakable anymore, they call it al-Jawhar al-Fard, like a singularity. Okay? And they say every attribute cannot exist on its own. Because, for instance, attribute like hunger, like feeling cold, right? Or warm, or happy, or sad. These are attributes. It's not touched, it's not tangible, it's not sensed, right? Therefore, these attributes needs to be in something, which is a matter, right? Since this attribute is caused, for sure, right? Attributes, because they happen and they disappear, they happen and disappear. They say it is caused. Since it dwells inside a substance, and substance needs it, therefore this substance also is caused. Therefore the entire universe is caused, then Allah is the one who caused it. Because the early philosophers thought that this universe was everlasting in the past. It has no beginning. So they use this proof to prove to them that the universe was created. But look what happened because of this evidence, al-Jawhar wal-A'rab. It was used by all the Kalam people, al-Mu'tazila, al-Maturidiyya, al-Asha'ira, and so on. Okay? And in fact, they said this is the most important proof for Allah's existence. We must study it. And you see their books filled with arguments about this issue. So when you ask the believers that describe for us Allah, if you're going to say Allah is Rahim, Allah is Ghafoor, Allah is Qawi, Allah is comes down, Allah gets angry, Allah is pleased with. These are all Arab attributes, right? So these attributes, we are going to say these are attributes, they cannot happen by Allah. Because if they do, then Allah is caused. Because to them Allah must be an existing essence, right? So if you're going to attribute these attributes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then these are Arab, right? Then Allah himself is caused. What is the way out? Cancel all those attributes. The Jahmiyyah, they denied all the attributes. The Mu'tazila, they did ta'wil. They say Ar-Rahman, no, it's not mercy like we understand it, but it is Allah wants to reward. Ghadab, Allah wants to punish. So they said the Rahman is rewarding. Al-Ghadab is punishing. So look how they went into denying Allah's attributes or doing ta'wil, misinterpreting the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look how the wrong usage of the proof led to a very catastrophic conclusion, to deny a very important part of the Islamic aqidah. So we need to be very careful in this regard. Whenever we use a proof, we have enough evidences. Go back to the books of the ulama who have established well-versed, well-understood evidences, and use them in your approach in convincing the others. So like I said, the issue of knowing Allah's existence, it is something which we know and sense and cannot deny, right? When the nomad was asked, how do you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, البعرة تدل على البعير وأثر القدم يدل على المسير وسماء ذات أبراج وأرض ذات أفجاج وبحر ذات أمواج أفلا يدل على السميع البصير. He said, the dung of the animal tells you that there is an animal who had passed from here. The footsteps on the sand tells you that there was someone who had passed from this place. The constructed heavens is a proof that there is a constructor. The valleys that you see on earth and all the existence on earth is a proof and evidence that there is a creator. The waves that you see of the sea tells you that there is a creator. There is the all-hearing, the all-seeing subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a nomad asking about Allah's existence, and he just look around. Everything speaks that there is a cause for it, subhanAllah. When Abu Hanifa was asked to have a debate with some of the philosophers of his time who deny Allah's existence, and he said, tell me about a ship which comes to the seaport on its own, full with goods on its own. It drops its goods on the seaport on its own. Nobody is controlling it, nobody is running it. They say, are you out of your mind? This can never happen. They said, well, you are telling me now that this entire complicated universe is running on itself. No creator. Does not make sense. There is another story for Abu Hanifa that he came late for that appointment. And then when they asked him, why are you late? He said, I was on the other bank of the river and I couldn't find a way to get to you guys. So I saw some logs floating on the river, and all of a sudden they came together, and nails put them together and they formed a ship. Then it came to me, then I took it and I came to you. They told him, are you crazy? I mean, this can never happen. He said, well, if few logs coming together can never happen, to form a boat can never happen. What about this entire universe? So there is so many logical issues, especially today with the scientific advancement of nature. And if you just take one creature and put it under the microscope and look just a small enhancement or magnification of the size of that creature, it tells you how intriguing it is in its creation. SubhanAllah. What about if you just take an organ for a human being? If you look into the cell itself, so much evidences. I mean, today, the most people who should be closer to Allah are the scientists, because they've seen more signs that speaks clearly that it must be created by the all-wise, all-knowing subhanahu wa ta'ala, all-able, the exalted He is. So let us go to the first proof, which is called Dalilu al-Khalqi wal-Ijad. Dalilu al-Khalqi wal-Ijad. The proof of creating and causing existence. Okay, the proof of creating and causing existence. Meaning that we've seen all the creatures around us, that they were non-existence, right? And they came to existence. Who caused it to exist? Common sense, right? We have like among the issue of al-ilm al-daruri, the law of causality. Everything caused must have a cause. Everything which is caused must have a cause. This is an axiomatic knowledge, right? Al-daruri. We don't have to even question that issue. There was even mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah that if a child is bitten from the back and then you disappear, And then he asks, who beats me? Or yeah, who had beaten me? And you say, nobody. He will not accept this answer. He'll be sad and angry, right? Because he knows such action was done by someone. It cannot be just from the air itself, something came and hit him. It must be something, subhanAllah. So this is something which is in our fitrah, right? That every cause thing must have a cause. And again, the nomad, like a story that al-ba'ara tadullu al-ba'ir, the story of Abu Hanifa, all such evidences, such stories tells you that it is an axiomatic matter that everything that came into existence must be caused by something, right? But when it comes to this issue, again, it is based on two premises. That the universe is caused. Okay, this is the first premise. The second premise, every caused thing must have a cause. Therefore, the universe is caused. The result, the universe is caused. So the universe is caused, or the universe have a cause. The universe have a cause. So the first premise, the universe is caused.
Subcategory for this one?
No, the first premise, the universe is caused. Second premise, every caused thing must have a cause. So what is the result? The universe must have a cause. So you take the first sentence from the first part of the first sentence with the last part of the second sentence, which is the second premise. This is how in Mantar they come up with a logical conclusion. Yani. Okay. So they say this universe, it must have a cause. So in this issue, for the first premise that the universe is caused, early philosophers used to believe that the universe had no beginning. It always existed. That's why, like we said, Al-Jahm and the early Muslim like philosophers and so on used the argument of the early Greeks to prove that the universe was caused. They use al-Jawahir wal-Arab proof, right? So this issue, there are two approaches in which to prove that the universe was caused. Ahl Sunnah, umuman, they said it is enough for us to take any creature as an evidence that he is caused, therefore he must have a cause. Okay? And to come to a conclusion that this entire universe was caused. The Ahlul Kalam approach, they say, no, we need to prove that this entire world is caused. If we do so, then everything is caused. So, the Ibn Taymiyyah and others like Ibn Hazm and other scholars of Islam, they say, just to prove that a creature is caused is enough for us that Allah is there, that there is a cause that caused it, right? While Ahlul Kalam, they said, no, the right approach is to prove the causation of the entire universe. And how did they do it? Again, the same the attributes and the a'rab, al-jawab, the substance and attributes, evidences, which led them to a great misguidance, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether we use this or that, again, we must present logical, acceptable proofs. But do not present like weak proofs that may backfire at you, right? Making you deny your aqidah, subhanAllah. So, Al-Sunnah, they say it is enough for us just to look into one creature and to know that he was created by a creator, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the approach of the Quran. Right? Allah said, أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتُم مَنْ خَلَقَهُمْ أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ وَإِلَى الْجِبَالِ كَيْفَ نُصِبَتْ وَإِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ. So Allah is telling us to look around and to be guided to Him. Just look at His creatures and whatever is around us. So again, when it comes to this issue for the first premise that the universe is caused, like we need to substantiate that this is true. right? That the universe is caused, right? So we can use the approach of every creature, right? Which is an evidence that everything is caused, right? When it comes to this matter, we see the scientists in the West, almost by consensus, they affirm that this universe was caused. It had a beginning. They say it had a beginning, okay? And even the atheists themselves in the West, they say, yes, this universe was caused. It had a beginning. But the atheists deny that Allah is the one who caused it to exist, right? They try to come with some justifications that it's not a creator, but coincidence. And they try to bring some justifications, which is illogical in so many cases, and can be refuted easily, that this intriguing, complicated, well-ordered, perfected universe cannot be a product of blind coincidence, for sure, right? Common sense. So we see, like Stephen Hawking, the physicist who was paralyzed, he himself says the universe was caused. Bertrand Russell, the English philosopher and mathematician, he's an atheist, very notorious atheist. He says that the universe was caused at the beginning. So they themselves accept this fact that the universe was caused. And people in the West, they use the Big Bang theory to claim that this is the proof that this universe had a beginning. And some use the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics, it talks about the entropy, which is measuring the disorder in the universe. They say if the entropy of the universe, the disorder in the universe increases, then energy will decrease. If this is the case, they say the universe is losing energy. If it was eternal in the past, energy should be consistent, should not decrease. Okay, I'm not into this theory, but this is to give you a summary of what they say about the theory itself, okay, or the law itself, right? So they say based on this law, the second law of thermodynamics, they say we must come to a conclusion that the universe must have a beginning. This is some of the scientists in the West. Should we use that approach or not? We don't bother even, right? But we say, according to you guys, your scientists, they say, the universe has a beginning. Who caused it? Who caused this fascinating order in the universe, right? And we can go into the issue of the causality, the law of causality, right? That every cause must have someone caused it, and so on. So, the second issue is the theory of the Big Bang. They say, based on the red light shift, that they say that the universe is expanding. Everything is going away from us. If you go back in time, they say, you see that the universe was shrinking, right? It was smaller, until it was so small. And they speak about the singularity. Singularity is smaller than the atom and in weight bigger than the entire universe. How is that? Allah A'lam. This is how the theories they come up with. It exploded, and this entire humongous cosmos came from this singularity. This is their theory, okay? How true it is, Allah A'lam. Allah A'lam. Allah speaks in the Quran that أَوْلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. This ayah, don't they see that the universe, that the heavens and the earth were together, then we separated them, right? It does not speak that they were singularity or whatever it is, but they said it was like smoke and then the earth and heavens were together, and Allah separated them, created the earth first, then the heavens, and so on. Then وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. Then he prepared the earth for our existence, and he shaped the earth, and he أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها. He made the gardens and the water to make life easier for us to be on earth. So this is what Allah tells in the Quran. How correct the theory of Big Bang? Allahu A'lam. Allah Alam. But should we use it as an approach? No. Should we lean immensely on this approach? Avoid doing that. Because when those people they tell you that this entire universe started from the Big Bang, they say there was nothing before it. Is that true? No. There is Allah before that. And even there is, the Arsh was there. It was created later. And the water was there. Right? And the angels and the jinn were there. And then the earth was created. And the Samawat were created. So there were creatures by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed before the existence of this entire universe.
They usually want to do somewhat a partial thing, they put somewhat correct, but majority of it is wrong. So that if somebody accepts it, then they can deviate their view even further.
Sahih, they can use it against you.
Yeah.
Because they tell you now saying that this is the beginning of time and place, right? Meaning that there is no time and place before that.
Then they come to. They don't come at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Okay. There is nothing, no time, no place before that. Then there is no God. How can? Or there is no art, there is no angels, there is no jinn, and so on. Okay, so we need to be very careful with this. And we should not say this is the beginning of time. No, there was time before that. This is the beginning of place. No, there was place before that, before the existence of the heavens and the earth. Because some of the du'at, when they use this approach, when they speak to the atheists, they say there was no space, no time before the Big Bang. Is that true? No. There was time and there was space before that. There was al-Arsh, there was al-Qalam, there was the angels, there were the jinn, and so on. So we need to be very much aware of this, not to use such approach, and not to be carried away with their argument, right? But our understanding of time before the existence of the heavens and the earth is different. Our understanding of place is different from the place that we see and observe on earth, for instance. Okay, so we cannot deny. So according to the atheists, before the Big Bang there was nothing. Nothing means no time, no space, no matter, no energy, no laws. Is that true? No. To us Muslims, there was matter, there was time, there was space, there were laws, and there was all that, subhanAllah. Yeah. So we need to be very much aware, because sadly many of the du'a, they use this approach and they, as if it is khalas. Before Big Bang, those things do not exist, right? But sometimes you may use it, or it is used to say according to you. According to you, that this Big Bang started from no laws, no matter, no energy, no vacuum even. No vacuum even. Because this is what nothing means, right? So who caused it to start? So you may use it as his argument, but not to be careful, not to be carried away as if it is something accepted. If you accept the Big Bang, then you can somehow use it as a proof that this universe had a beginning, according to your theory that you believe in. But someone who does not believe in the Big Bang, from the atheists, you cannot use this against him, because you will fail badly, and if you do so. So, according to the first premise, this entire universe was caused. According to them, even almost by consensus by the Western scientists, that the universe had a beginning. So it is something which is proven to everyone, that the universe had a beginning. Right? The second premise, everything that exists, it must have a cause. Everything which is caused, the second premise, everything which is caused must have a cause. Something caused it to exist, right? And this is, we have enough evidences around us to prove that, right? And just look to any creature, you see it was not there and then it came to existence. But who caused it? Even if you go back to try to trace the beginning of creation on earth, and look into the fossils, and it speaks to you clearly that there always were fossils that tells you that there was a beginning for some creatures, right? And when you try to look to those who try to deceive us in claiming that these all entire fascinating creatures were a product of a single cell. But this single cell, who caused it? I mean, imagine, they say non-living things, sand, water, rain, and lightning. Somehow, this non-living thing, imagine a stone, non-living thing, became a living thing. Living thing is not something. It's not something easy, right? It's not something easy to say that it became a living thing, but it became a cell, and then that cell, how did it decide that now it is for me to multiply into another exactly the same cell, right? The spirit of the cell, the chromosomes and the DNA and all that, right? So you see how complicated and so much sophisticated this tiny single cell, which according to them life came by coincidence. Imagine this is a disk, and somehow after billions and billions of years it became a walking disk. It doesn't make sense, and even I mean, wallahi ya akhwa, any logical person, when you tell him sand and water became living thing, wallahi, if you tell him this today, he'll mock you. He'll make you an object of mockery. But how are they fooling everyone that it became a cell? But wow, but this cell, do you know what's inside the cell, ya akhwa? It's so complex. Wallah, it's so complex. Not only that, the cell started multiplying. But now the cell decided that, oh, I need hands. Oh, I need eyes. Oh, I need brain. Oh, I need to breathe. I need to dive. I need to fly. I need to walk on earth. But who decides this? Who decides this? This is all caused by coincidence. Does this make sense? But if I just let it pass for you, I swallow it. It was caused by sand to become a cell. There are so many things that is built after that which I cannot fathom, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Cannot go through your mind without knowing that something caused it. I mean, for a cell to become, then the cell of course decides later on to become a creature, right? Then that creature needs a spouse. Right? Now we have a chicken, right? We need a rooster. How long that chicken will have to wait for the rooster to come from some another cells? But will it survive for that long until the rooster comes? I mean, so many questions makes these people look fool, wallahi. So anyone comes to us, we have strong evidences to let them look like fools, wallahi. Because when you come and say God does not exist, we should ask him in the first place, not him. I mean, when he says, you prove to me that there is God, we say, no. You prove to me that this universe came on its own. Give me an evidence. You see a car moving in the street. When you see it, you don't say, prove to me that this car has a creator or has a manufacturer. We should ask, you prove to me that it has a manufacturer, right? You prove to me that this car came on its own. That this car came on its own. You prove me, and let me correct. You prove to me that this car came on its own. So what about this entire universe? I mean, every single creature, wallahi, volumes of books to explain the detailed biological nature of that creature. When we look to the field of medicine, every organ in the body has a college, separate college. The eye, the ear, the lungs, the heart, the brain. Is not only the brain, but part of the brain there is a section to specialize in this issue. Eye is not any eye, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need a part of the eye to be specialized in it. What is that? What is that, subhanAllah? So to come with a blatant statement, God does not exist. So we really should put in the Quran, you prove to me that this universe came on its own. He will say, Darwinian mechanism, it's so broad statement that underneath that statement you have to prove so many things. I mean, it's so silly to say Darwinism mechanism, this came into existence. Is this an enough evidence? And you think that خلاص, you have convinced me now, no, mashallah, this mechanism caused everything to come to existence. When we go on later on, inshallah ta'ala, speaking about the proofs, the other proofs, you'll see that to claim that a single cell comes into existence on its own, this is beyond, if you use all sorts of probabilities, this can never happen. No matter how, intelligent, smart, brilliant you are in mathematics, you can never, with probability and statistics, you can never convince anyone that probability can cause a cell to exist on its own. So again, every creature is an enough evidence for us that it is caused. So therefore, with the law of causality, we have an enough evidence that this fascinating universe is caused. And caused by who? By someone who is all-knowing, all-able, all-wise. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's the wisdom behind it. Okay, he has the ability to do it, right? وما كان الله ليعجزه من شيء في السماوات ولا في الأرض إنه كان عليما قديرا. Allah, nothing will make him unable to do in the heavens or in the earth. Indeed, he is aliman qadira. He is all-knowing, all-able, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he knows everything. He knows what he's doing. He's able to do it. And there is a wisdom behind it. So when you tell me that, subhanAllah, this entire universe, the sun, the heat immersed by the sun reaches a level where it is convenient for us to live, convenient for the trees to grow, convenient for the water to evaporate and cause rain to come down. This entire complex, system. And it is fixed in such perfection. Who's doing this? Who's causing this? Subhanallah, you look, everything by measure is there. So it must be caused by someone, subhanallah. This is the issue that we need to be very much strong in understanding those proofs in order to be well equipped with the right arguments, subhanallah. Even among the very notorious atheists, a person called Anthony Flew. He wrote a book called There Is a God. He used to be an atheist. Then he became a believer that there is a God. After almost more than half a century, debating and writing articles about Allah's not existing. Then he changed his mind. He said, there is a God. So the book title is, he cancelled there is no God, he cancelled no, and he placed A on top of no. So it became, instead of there is no God, there is a God. It is written that the title of the book, The Most Notorious Atheist. This guy, he said, he spoke about the Big Bang, and came to a conclusion that, meaning that this universe had a beginning, it must have someone who caused it. It cannot come on its own. Because the prior belief of people before the Big Bang and the second law of thermodynamics, people used to think that this universe was always there, always existed, right? But when science proved to them, according to them and their theories, that there was a beginning, they say, well, this fascinating universe, this fascinating order must have a cause. Cannot be caused by itself. So the issue of every caused thing must have a cause, it is something which everyone believes in. It is a matter of innate. It's in our fitrah. right? It's from al-ilm al-daruri, like the law of causality, and so on. Also, when we look into Allah's approach in the Quran, when He says, "Am khuliqu min ghayri shay'in, am humul khaliqun," were they created out of nothing, or did they create themselves? Am khalaqu as-samawati wal ard, bal la yuqinun, or did they create the heavens and the earth? Indeed, they are not certain. So Allah is presenting to us logical arguments. So again, the Quran also is full with logical arguments for Allah's existence. This is one of the ayat. أم خلقوا سورة الطور أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون. So the first argument is saying, were they created out of nothing? So out of nothing means what? There is nothing at all. Like again, no matter, no energy, no law, no even vacuum. Okay? So nothing cannot cause something. Nothing cannot bring something. Nothing means nothing whatsoever. Some of the Western scientists, his name is Klaus, I think, or something like that. This guy, he wrote a book, Something Out of Nothing, tried to prove that nothing still has something in it that caused existence. He's tried to explain it in a physical way, right, through physics. But again, these people are making themselves an object of mockery because nothing means nothing. Nothing means nothing whatsoever. There is no law. If you're going to say physics was in nothing and the physics caused something, then physics means laws, right? Physics means laws. And there was no laws before nothing. When there was nothing, there is no law whatsoever. So based on what are you claiming that laws in the air, they caused something, yani? So again, those people, when they're trying to prove that nothing can cause something, they're wallahi making themselves object of mockery. So it is an innate matter. Again, the Quran's approach, were they created out of nothing, right? This can never happen. Am humul khaliqun, did they create themselves? So for them to create themselves, they must exist, right? And if they exist, how can they create themselves? So it is a circular argument. Circular arguments is a way of a fault way or a fallacy to approach to prove something. Using circular argument, you are refuting yourself. You are defeating yourself. So this is circular. You cannot accept that. Or were they created by something else, which is created? This is an infinite regress in causes, right? So if you're going to say this person was caused by someone, and he was caused by someone, and he was caused by someone, right? Infinite, no beginning. Will the last person be caused? No. Let me give you an example. They use the example of if a soldier was told to shoot someone, to execute someone, okay? He said, I cannot do it unless my boss gives me permission. We go to his boss. He said, my boss must give me permission. We go to his permission. To infinite, no beginning whatsoever. Will that soldier shoot? No, because you are still going back in time to try to, and there is no beginning. There is no beginning whatsoever. So if you're going to say that this has an infinite regress in causes, meaning that this world will not be caused, or they themselves will not be caused. So to claim that they were created from nothing, it's false. Or they created themselves, circular argument, it's false. Or they were created by something which was created, which is false. The only way out, they were created by Al-Alim Al-Qadir Al-Khallaq Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. By Allah the Exalted Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. By someone who has no beginning. Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, was not caused Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So this is the argument of the Quran. Try to remember it, ya ikhwan. أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون. أم هم الخالقون, either they created themselves, circular argument, or were created by someone else who was created. And Allah leaves us with the conclusion, the last conclusion, which is that you were created by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The Exalted He is. So how are we doing so far, Ikhwan?
Trying to strengthen the iman.
Again, it's a matter of using caused things as an evidence, okay? That they were caused. They cannot cause themselves. They cannot be caused by nothing, right? They cannot be caused by something which is caused. The only way out is they were caused by a creator who was not caused, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you have any questions, Yahya, so far?
You mentioned three things around. One is infinite regression, and two other things are?
The first thing, they were created from nothing.
Okay.
Okay, to claim that they were created from nothing,
Okay.
or they created themselves.
Okay.
This is circular argument, right? Because they need to exist in order to create themselves,
Okay.
and they did not exist in the first place.
Circular.
Or the third one is they were created by someone else who was created, right? This is infinite regress in causes, which is cannot be true, right? The last conclusion is they were created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. The third argument here, it is the same thing. It is the same answer to those who ask who created Allah. Okay. If you say who created Allah, then who created the one who created Allah? You'll go on forever. Means that this universe was not created, because he was still waiting for the first creator who is not there. You must stop somewhere, right? There must be a beginning. There must be a beginning, right? And that beginning is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who caused everything, the exalted He is. So in brief, the issue of the first proof, Dalil al-Khalq wal-Ijab, the proof of creating and causing existence. Okay? Again, every creature around us is a proof. You can use the argument of the Quran, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ, right? And the premise used to come to a conclusion that this universe was created, that the entire universe, al-alam, hadith, the entire universe was caused. Everything that we see around us is caused. Therefore, the entire universe is caused. Okay? So use this argument, this premise, two premises and conclusion, and use the ayah, and use every creature as an evidence that Allah is the creator. And again, before all that, when you speak to such people, you say, you prove to me that this universe caused itself, that this car came on itself. Wallah, if you put this on the ground and you ask someone, prove to me that this came on its own, he will tell you, no. This, even the atheist himself will say, no, this was manufactured somewhere. This non-living thing, يعني, which is a bottle, يعني, plastic bottle. Not much complexity in it whatsoever. يعني. Must have a manufacturer. What about this entire universe? Come on, guys. Wallahi al-azim, يعني. You see those people, يعني, mashallah, they are, mashallah, may Allah guide them. So firm in arguing that no, it came on its own, it is caused by coincidence, there is no creator, God does not exist. And they bring you big words and theories and stuff like that, but all does not serve them. It does not serve them. Just go deep into what they are saying and tell them, don't tell me that khalas, it can cause itself and you run away. No, prove to me how it can cause itself. Like someone was arguing with someone, he had a camera next to him. He said, prove to me that you know how complicated the camera is. He said, yes, very complicated. He said, the eye is more complicated than the camera. Now prove to me that this camera can come on its own. He said, yes, it can come on its own. بالله عليك يعني. This camera can come on its own. يعني, is this logical يعني? For such people يعني خلاص you leave them يعني. It's useless to even talk to them يعني. He's fooling himself. He's fooling himself. I mean, if you, like I said, such simple item يعني. You say no, it was manufactured somewhere. It cannot come on its own. Like, what about the camera? What about the mobile? What about the laptop? What about the car? What about, those things are non-living things. What about the living things? Subhanallah. Isn't this fascinating enough for you as an evidence that it must be caused by someone? I mean, if you look to the human body, wallah azim, everything connects to cause life, subhanAllah. And it is required to be there, subhanAllah. When you look into the arteries and veins and number of cells and what's inside the cell and the blueprint which is in every single cell that tells you how to build an entire body. The cell has all the information of how to build an entire body. And this is science saying this. Not us Muslims or religious people making up this. No, science is telling us the single cell has a blueprint for building an entire human being. But this cell goes to build the skin, does not go to somewhere else. This cell goes to the bone. This cell goes to build an eye, to form an eye. It does not form an eye in the knees. It does not form a heart in the brain, in the mind. It does not put the brain in the knees. Unless an atheist, yes, maybe. His brain is in his knees, Allah musta'an. But seriously, isn't this fascinating enough, subhanahu wa ta'ala? And this is duplicated with every human being, subhanAllah. The child in his mother's womb, this is replicated. فبالله عليكم, come on guys. I'm really surprised that, especially for an Arab or a Muslim who says, I am an atheist now. Prove to me that God exists. MashaAllah alaykum. Are you fooling yourself? Tell him. Seriously, be firm and strong, and no matter how he tries to be articulate in his wording and vocabulary and statements, take him back to as simple as the cell, the human being, any creature you see around. Tell him, Ya akhi, look, use your mind, subhanAllah.
Sheikh, whenever Allah says in the Quran about ترجع البصر أفلا ينظرون انظر. So this is all دليل الخلق والإيجاد. It is
yes, exactly. Allah tells us to reflect upon the fact فلم يسيروا في الأرض. Like I said, انظروا أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت. So Allah is telling us to go out. The ayah in end of فصلت. إن في خلق سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبينهم الحق. أولم يكفي بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. We shall show them our signs within themselves and the horizon. Allah is telling us, go around, look, and reflect and ponder. You shall be guided clearly to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Plus the fitra, which we'll talk about later on, it's in us. Like we said, remember the story of Lawrence Brown, the atheist, the English American doctor who was an atheist and he became a Muslim, and he's a da'i now. Every da'i, whenever he's put in a corner or afflicted with a calamity, he runs immediately, Ya Allah, help me. No matter how notorious he was in his atheism, he immediately asks for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is an innate matter, subhanAllah. I guess we'll end it here with the first evidence. Are we doing well so far? Good. Alhamdulillah ta'ala. Barakallah fikum. You have any questions, anything to add?
This is also a means for us to, it is a means for us to argue with others about this point, but also a means for us to increase our iman as well.
Ahsan.
Because if we look at these things more and more, our iman and belief in Allah should increase. Right?
Exactly.
That's why it is said so many times in the Quran repeatedly, and we have to repeat it so many times.
إن في خلق السماوات والأرض لآيات لأولي الألباب سبحانه وتعالى. So such ayat really, it increases our iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The idea behind mentioning them is to substantiate our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to increase our iman subhanahu. Yes. Good point, MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. طيب, anything else يا أخوة?
We were in those maybe day before yesterday?
Yes.
He said the dars was on shukr. Shukran ni'mah. So he said a good point in which he said that people, they don't even recognize the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this thing, we can take it in this way also, that he said a kidney is this size in our body. To replace that, they have this dialysis machine. And subhanAllah, what Allah created is this much. and to function the kidney artificially, they have to create this big machine.
صحيح.
And that too, it cannot compete with this.
Not completely copies, it's partial.
صحيح. It's a partial solution سبحان الله تعالى. And he needs to come back to that machine every 2-3 days, right?
صحيح.
فسبحان الله يعني.
with expensive medicines.
Exactly.
With the expensive medicine.
صحيح. every organ our body يعني it's an ayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which requires يعني شكر لله سبحانه وتعالى. But people take things for granted unfortunately يعني, sadly. We need to always remind each other. I mean, if you look on how the heart works, how the brain functions, and then you read in detail how fascinating it is and how it is integrated with the entire body system, you say subhanallah, subhanallah. I mean, sometimes a tiny, like my mom, Allah bless her and increase her in faith and sahha, when she had the thyroid gland, she collapsed, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tiny gland, it can make you spend the rest of your life in a hospital, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, one issue, for example, the saliva gland. Saliva gland excretes saliva. Imagine if that gland did not work. You will not smile. You will not be able to smile, let alone to eat or try to speak or to do anything. Why? To be dry or rupture all around your mouth, bleeding, gums, getting diseases, and you cannot eat or drink through your mouth. Totally mouth closed almost. This is tiny gland. Huh?
You cannot even breathe because it
It
controls
hurts.
the posture.
Exactly. So imagine tiny gland, saliva. It plays a great role in our in easing our life.
Common man even doesn't know about that.
Subhanallah. The problem is that everyone takes things for granted. خلاص, it's there. Tell this atheist, if that gland does not function, what will happen to you? Let him reflect upon that. If the tears caused by the gland which causes tears, it does not work, what will happen to you? Wallahi, you'll spend the rest of your life in a hospital. These are issues which requires shukr lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these people, when I say this came by coincidence type, just one single tiny gland, it may cause me to die. Or an artery blocked, what do you call it, stroke. And the person may be paralyzed or die. Single artery. And you're telling me or try to convince me that this is product of coincidence? I mean, be reasonable. Be reasonable, subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah guide us, increase us in iman, and make us among those who present the gratitude that Allah deserves, exalted He, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullah khairan. Hayyakum Allah. Hayyakum Allah. يلا السلام عليكم. You guys need the AC, right? Getting very warm.
हम मुखालिफून ये रिग्रेसिव
ठीक है,
हम मुखालिफून में लगे शेख
ये सब लोग
सही और हम मुखालिफून ये रिग्रेसिव रिग्रेशन है
नहीं, दोनों उसमें
दोनों से खास बात है
पहला है ना, हम al-Suhaibi शहीद,
हाँ,
ये तो जो है ये है कि
ये
वो
किसी
first
ये लोग कोई they are created from nothing.
from nothing, which is not possible.
हम होमो खालिकुन वो क्रिएट कर, वो कैसे क्रिएट कर सकते हैं?
हम हुमल खालिकुन आर दे द क्रिएटर्स.
हम
हाँ।
खालिकुन तो दोनों ठीक है, ये क्या उन्होंने खुद अपने आप को क्रिएट किया, वो सर्कुलर, ठीक है, और क्या किसी और ने उनको क्रिएट किया, वो देखिए
Infinite.
तो उसमें वो दो
और तीसरा वाला जो सही ऑप्शन
कि they were created.
चौथा पहला जो है ना, हम खुले को मिन गैर शैइन, ये तो हो गया कि वो क्या किसी भी बगैर किसी चीज़ के वजूद में आ गए, जिसको वो खुद ही नहीं मानते, वो दिल बहन और ये और वो, तो ये तो वैसी। और फिर दूसरा हम खालिकुन में दो चीज़ें हैं कि क्या वो खुद अपने आप को या किसी और ने किया, ठीक है, तो अगर अपने आप को तो वो सर्कुलर,
हाँ, सर्कुलर,
ठीक है, کہ اگر
سولجر کے ایگزامپل اچھا رہا
نہیں وہ ریگریس ہے.
وہ regress
ہاں جی، وہ regress ہے.
سرور کی ایگزامپل یہ ہوگی کہ اگر خود پیدا کرنا تھا تو خود ہوں گے پہلے, اور اگر تھے تو پھر پیدا کیسے کریں گے. وہ آپس نہیں, آپس میں سرور کر کے ریفیوٹ کریں, اور کسی اور نے پیدا کیا وہ اس کا
Infinite.
کہ کہیں رکے گی نہیں, یعنی کبھی ہو گئی نہیں.
یہ آیا تھا پر کتنی مرتبہ پتہ چلتی
بہت پڑھ چکے ہیں, کبھی ایسا وہ نہیں ہوا.
اس لیے بھی اور قرآن کو جتنا سمجھ کر پڑھنے کے لیے کریں گے تو اور کتنا اچھا ہے. ایمان کی قوت
اور اگلی آیت بھی ہے, ہم خلق السماوات والارض, کیا انہوں نے زمین و آسمان پیدا کیے؟ یقین نہیں ہوا.
اس لیے استاد ہمیں قرآن سیکھنا چاہیے, قرآن سیکھنے کے لیے عربی سیکھنا چاہیے, عربی سیکھنا چاہیے تو عربی